Welcome back to Kossi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kossi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are back with the Arsenal news. We're going to be diving into the latest around the club. Rudy Garrett has just confirmed that William Saliba and Arsenal are very close to signing a new contract, agreeing a new deal until 2027. Just like we expected, 5 more years for William Saliba. Fabrizio Romano is also confirming that Arsenal have turned down the chance to sign Portuguese midfielder Xhaka. He will be going to Rennes. He won't be joining the Premier League. We are also linked with a couple of other midfielders in our pursuit for a new midfielder and kind of bolster our squad depth. We're linked with Jesper Lindstrom at Eintracht Frankfurt and Adon Jeshare at Lausanne. We'll be diving into all that, a few excerpts from our players on international duty as well. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let's get this video to 300 likes. Now, let's start off with Rudy Garrett. He's been speaking around William Saliba and the contract situation. And he's just said that Arsenal centre-back William Saliba, Arsenal and centre-back William Saliba are set to agree on a contract extension until 2027. So we spoke about it yesterday. When we were reacting to William Saliba's interview, he was asked by Sky Sports whether he's going to be staying at Arsenal, whether he's going to be signing a new deal, and he said, "I feel at home here. I want to be here, and London is a place that I can call home." So I think the integration of William Saliba into the squad, the fact that he's settled in well, the fact that he understands what Mikel Arteta requires of him, and he has the ability and quality, to fulfill all those requirements and demands that Mikel Arteta is posing to him, just makes him the right player and the right kind of profile, for this Arsenal side. You admire what Mikel has done with William Saliba, pushing him out on loan on a few occasions, training him, integrating him into the squad, and all that. And right now, it is time for us to decide whether William Saliba stays with us on a permanent or actually he leaves. And Arsenal have decided he's going to be staying with us. He's going to be signing a new deal. I never had any thoughts otherwise. After the first 5 games, I knew if Arsenal give William Saliba a new deal, he's definitely going to sign him because, sign it. You want to be at a club where you're playing regularly. You want to be at a club where you're guaranteed a starting place. And you want to be at a club where you're happy, where you understand the manager, you have that kind of connection with the manager, and everything is going all right. With William Saliba right now, yes, a few clubs could be more attractive. Probably Madrid, probably FC Barcelona, but Barcelona cannot sign him now. They signed Jules Koundé. He was on their list in the summer, but after signing Jules Koundé, he's off their list. So I think Madrid, maybe Juve is another club that could actually look at him. There are not so many other clubs that I would be scared of. Olympique Marseille is not a big club compared to Arsenal. Yes, they're playing in the UEFA Champions League, but currently they're not a club to threaten us with the signature of William Saliba. So Saliba is going to stay until 2027. That is a wise decision. 5 more years. Actually, if you look at, because his current deal runs down in 2024, right? So until 2027, that is around 4 more years. That's a good period of time. From 2022 to 2027, 5 years. That's a good period of time. He will have matured enough. And in my opinion, by 2025, we will be renewing his contract. He's going to be a senior player by then. So this is very good work for me from Edu and Mikel Arteta. They've really, really done very well in regards to William Saliba. They received a lot of criticism from me, from a couple of Arsenal fans on William Saliba. But the way they have handled it, it's magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. So William Saliba is gonna sign until 2027. That is done. That is dusted. Now, Jesper Lindstrom is another player that Arsenal have been closely linked with in the past 3 days. According to Bill today, this morning, they confirmed that Arsenal have contacted the agent of Jesper Lindstrom at Eintracht Frankfurt. Now, this is a story that was developing a little bit slowly, and that's why I did bring it yesterday. I thought it was kind of a clickbait, kind of, blogs and websites trying to, feed us through the international break. But again, the Bild are a very credible source when it comes to German stories. They're a very credible source when it comes to German clubs and players playing in Germany. So they're saying Arsenal have opened talks and or contact. It depends on how you want to envision this with the agents of Danish midfielder Jesper Lindstrom. Just a little bit of the profile. He's 22 years of age, playing at Eintracht Frankfurt, comes from Denmark, plays as an attacking midfielder, has played as a left winger as well, and also as a support striker. So one thing I'm looking at here is the versatility, and that is one aspect Mikel Arteta has loved with all the players that he has signed this summer. Fabio Vieira, very versatile. Alexander Zinchenko, very versatile. Gabriel Jesus, very versatile as well. So another player is Jesper Lindstrom. I've looked at him on a few occasions. Entering Frankfurt, of course, last campaign, playing until the Europa League finals and winning it. I had a chance to see Lindstrom. I think they had some quality players in that squad. Filip Kostic as well. I think you have you have the likes of Kanaut as well. So they have so many young talents in that squad, and you really cannot say they didn't deserve to win the Europa League. But Lindstrom is one interesting one. At 22 years of age, just fits Mikel Arteta's profile and Eddie's profile of a new signing. Our project is signing players between 18 to 26 years of age. Not very old, but those young players that have a lot of experience. Because Jesper Lindstrom, if you brought him at 22, he gives you a lot of squad depth in terms of playing as an attacking midfielder, as a support striker, as a left winger, and you can even argue that you can play him as a right winger, as an inverted right winger. But also, he brings a lot of experience onto the table if Arsenal were to sign him. Imagine at 22, he's already won the Europa League title. Arsenal do not have it in their cabinet. We don't have it in our cabinet, and that is one of the strong attributes we would be getting. We are already playing in the Europa League with hopes of winning it this year. Yes, we are facing Man United, Dortmund, and all those clubs that are going to come from the Champions League. We are facing competition from them, but you can say Arsenal are 8 out of 10 favorites to win the Europa League. And players like Jesper Lindstrom, who have lived this journey, players like Zinchenko, players like Gabriel Jesus, who have already been there, won the Premier League, won the Europa League, in regards to Jesper Lindstrom, they can help us add something special to this side. Because Mikel Arteta as a manager, he's not a winner as a player. He wasn't a big winner as a player. Doesn't have the Premier League, doesn't have any European title, doesn't have any. So you need this kind of players. You need this category of players that have won somewhere, that have won these titles. They know the feeling. They know what to do. They know. They have lived the experience, and that is one thing Jesper Lindstrom would be bringing. Of course, the versatility is the other thing that I've talked about. Now, this is a deal that can be done in January, but it would be interesting to see, do Arsenal then sign him as a central midfielder because he's very versatile, he can play in that role? Do we sign him as a central midfielder because in attacking midfield we have two quality players? That is Martin Odegaard and Fabio Vieira. So you literally don't need another attacking midfielder. Do we sign him as a winger? I would prefer Mykhailo Mudryk as a winger rather than Jesper Lindstrom. I've seen more of Jesper Lindstrom at Eintracht Frankfurt. Like I said, I followed him more in the Europa League. And I've also seen him play in the UEFA Champions League as well. So I followed him more than Mykhailo Mudryk, but I would still take Mykhailo Mudryk. The thing Jesper Lindstrom has, he's currently playing in a system that fancies, catching teams on the break, right? So that is how Eintracht Frankfurt play. Their game is not dominated by having the ball. That is not how they play. They literally play by sitting back and catching teams on the break. The likes of Filip Kostic used to give them that kind of speed. Arnold Kanauf as well, giving them that kind of speed as well, and runs in behind. And then Jesper Lindstrom as well, following with these brilliant runs. Anyway, if Arsenal could get him, in my opinion, this would be one where you sign a winger in January, but then you sign another one ahead of him in the summer. I hope that makes sense. So it's not a deal where I feel if Arsenal sign him, we are done. We brought in the next Robert Pires. He's not that guy. He would be a player that signs for Arsenal, and eventually his place would be overtaken, because you could sign him in January for 20 million euros or even less than that, and then in the summer you can go and sign Pedro Neto for 45 million euros. Of course, automatically Pedro Neto for me starts ahead of Jesper Lindström. But again, in January, it's time to explore these deals. It's time to see what kind of opportunities are available. We had a debate yesterday. Do Arsenal make sensible title contenders? And many of you in the comment section said it depends on what we do in January. It also depends on how we recruit in January. So Jesper Lindström, get him in. I would love to get in as many players as many players as we can in January, because at the end of the day, it works in our own favor. So Jesper Lindström, there will be a question there. Do Eintracht Frankfurt sell in January? Right? Again, what are their ambitions? It's quite interesting that they're in the UEFA Champions League after winning the Europa League. You can argue they deserved it. You can argue Rangers should have won it. Depends on what you think. But if they drop into the Europa League, right? If they drop out of the Champions League by January and drop into the Europa League, I think round of 32, they will think it is easier, right? They will think it is easier to win the Europa League again with this set of players. And they will decide to keep many of their players intact. And look, Frankfurt this season, I don't think they have the highest expectations, but winning the Europa League just makes them, just makes them a better side. It just makes them a side that are able to dream about things like the Europa League, qualifying for the Europa League again, about things like probably going to the UCL round of 16 or even quarterfinals. So for me, it will depend on how they do on Europe and how their season will be running. If they feel because his contract runs down in 2026, there is no rush to sell him. There's no rush. They don't have any kind of pressure. So let's wait and see how this one unfolds. But in my opinion, one for the summer. Any club that is interested in him, one for the summer. Difficult to do in January. Now, the other player we are linked with in terms of getting a midfielder is Adon Jeshari at Lausanne in Switzerland. 20 years of age, plays predominantly as a central midfielder, but the other attributes of his game allow him to play as a defensive midfielder as well. Now, this one is a player I have no clue about. I looked him up on YouTube to see a couple of his clips and style of play. Not available. I looked at him at FBref. Not available. The only information I have about him is from the transfer market. Now, look, this highlights Mikel Arteta and Edu's urge to bolster our options and make our bench a little bit Premier League quality. Yesterday I was watching the Football Terrace and Liga made a very exciting point. Our bench is championship material. Honestly, our bench is championship levels. You look at Marquinhos, Ethan Nwaneri, Matana. You don't have so many players. You don't have 3 or 4 players that are capable of changing a game. Tomiyasu, he doesn't change a game for me. He comes on for purposes of, game management, not to change a game. He's not that kind of right back. He's not that kind of full back that would bring in 5 decent crosses that result into goal-scoring opportunities. You think about Edin Ketia, he's capable of changing a game, but not to the level of Arsenal are trailing 2-1 against Manchester United. Let's bring Edin Ketia. Not to that level. So I think what Mikel Arteta is looking at here is, if we are going to win the title, hopefully we do, if you're going to fight with City, Liverpool, Chelsea, you need squad depth. But the question is, how do you get these players? How do you get players in January in a very difficult transfer market where clubs don't want to sell? And even when they sell, it is so expensive, and you don't have a big budget to work with in January. Most of the money clubs have to work with is always in the summer. So this is where the likes of Adon Jeshari would actually work for Arsenal. 20 years, central midfielder, defensive midfielder. If you bring him in, He gives you that kind of cover for Granit Xhaka, and then he gives you that kind of cover for for Thomas Partey. And look, all these players, I'll have a chance to watch them during international duty, and I'll see how they do, how they perform, and I'll be giving you a clearer insight. But in my opinion, these are deals that are being explored by Arsenal just for issues of squad depth, right? If there is an opportunity to sign one of them, then you get them through the door. But in the summer, you have to work on a more clearer transfer basis, on a more clearer transfer policy. For example, Ruben Neves is one player to look at in the summer. His contract will be left with 1 year in the summer, isn't it? Yeah, his contract will be left with 1 year. So Ruben Neves is a player to look at in the summer. Players like Dennis Zakaria, when he goes back to Juve, and probably Juve don't have the best of terms with him. Those deals, should be explored in the summer. But now, because you can't do them in January, I would be okay with all these, Jashari deals and Jesper Lindstrom. But for me, they're not deals that elevate us to the next level. They're just deals that make sure that we stay competitive, right? They make us competitive. They make sure that we stay competitive, but then they're not deals that take us to the next level. They don't make you a Manchester City threat. They don't make you a Liverpool threat. They just make you an okay squad. They just make your squad a little bit, slightly better. Now, another deal that I never wanted Arsenal to do, and it has actually gone under the radar, is the Xhaka deal. So according to Fabrizio Romano, Rene are set to sign Portuguese midfielder Xhaka on a free transfer as he is available, and his contract expired with Lille Metropole in June. Arsenal were offered the opportunity to sign him, but they have actually turned that down. And Romano says another free agent who should find a new team very soon is Jason Denayer. Now, let's talk about Jason Denayer for a moment, right? He's one of those Belgian midfielders and defenders that I'll definitely fancy. Like in January, like right now, just to add that kind of squad depth, Jason Denayer is a guy I would bring in at Arsenal on a 1 year deal or 6-month contract, depends on the agreement. But Jason Denayer is one player Arsenal should be thinking about. So Xhaka is not going to be signed for Arsenal. Yes, we were offered the opportunity to sign him, but we actually turned that down. I'm happy we did. Like, I know nothing about this guy. We know nothing about this guy. And the fact that he's 27, his contract ran down at a club like Lille Metropole in France, and he's not yet found a club until now. It just doesn't make him Arsenal quality. It just doesn't make him Arsenal standard. We can't go that low. We definitely can't. Yes, even Jason Denayer, is the same, but we know a bit about Jason Denayer. We know the quality Jason Denayer possesses, and the experience he will be bringing to the side. So Xhaka is going to be going to Rennes. In my opinion, that is his level. Honestly, to be honest, that is his level. He should be playing there, right? Like, look, I don't want to sound too harsh. I don't want to sound very harsh, but Xhaka, Rene, it just seems like a perfect partnership. Xhaka, Arsenal, no, we already have a Granit Xhaka who's doing well. We don't need another one. We definitely don't need another one, especially 27 Portuguese midfielder who is roaming the streets now without a club, without a contract. I don't think we need to be going there, because one thing we are praising Mikel Arteta for is changing Arsenal, turning Arsenal around, and turning the tide around. If you want to continue praising the manager for that, you don't go back to where we started with the revolution, right? You don't undo the work you've done during the revolution by bringing players whose contracts are quite vague, and their defined purpose for the club cannot be established well. That is why Xhaka doesn't make sense as a transfer. Now, let's get over to some of the other stories that I have today. Now, Mikel Arteta has been criticized by TalkSport's Jason Candy for playing Ethan Nwaneri in the game against Brentford. Now, of course, you remember that Ethan Nwaneri is now holding the Premier League record for the youngest player to play ever in the Premier League at just 15 years. So Jason Candy says it was egoistic. He says it was self-centered, and it was absolutely a wrong decision for Mikel Arteta to play Ethan Nwaneri. In my opinion, I think Jason Kandi says this because he didn't listen to Mikel Arteta after the game. Arteta says Ethan Nwaneri is going to take 3 steps backwards, right? 3 steps backwards, and then another step forward into the right direction. Now, I don't have a problem with Arsenal playing Ethan Nwaneri in the Premier League for 4 minutes. I don't have a problem like that. Look, I know and I understand as a young man, as a young player, as a kid, it might affect him, right? He might start feeling I'm bigger than under 15, I'm bigger than under 17, I'm bigger than under 21. But I don't think Mikel Arteta did this in a bad way. I don't feel Mikel Arteta did this with any selfish motives. And I think we are just receiving a lot of criticism from the media for winning so many games. Honestly, I think right now, because Bain Sports were the first to start to say Arsenal are over-celebrating their wins. Now Jason Kandi on TalkSport, Arsenal are not title contenders, and Mikel Arteta is an egoistic bastard who's playing Ethan Nwaneri because of selfish motives. We're receiving a lot of stick. We're receiving a lot of criticism from the media rather than objective opinions and objective analysis, in my opinion. Because for me, if a pundit comes out and says, look, Arsenal should not have played Ethan Nwaneri because of reasons ABC, I understand that. But coming out to say that the manager played Ethan Nwaneri because of selfish motives doesn't make any sense. That is not even objective punditry. That is not even punditry in the first place. It is banter. It is absolute banter. And I don't get it. So TalkSport, of course, having the likes of Gabriel Gabriel just makes them, a shit radio station. But in my opinion, if Mikel Arteta played Ethan Nwaneri on that day, it is a big day for this, for the boy. Let's allow Ethan Nwaneri enjoy his day. Like I said, he's not going to be playing every game for us. He's not going to be appearing in every game for Arsenal. So we don't need to make it something very, very big. That is, that is just my opinion, right? That's just my opinion. Now, Florian Balogun was speaking, about Mikel Arteta and the move to Reims, and he said, on his loan move to Reims, he said, before I moved from Arsenal, Mikel Arteta said to me that he wanted me to develop as a man. It was kind of like an open answer for me to interpret what he meant by develop as a man. But moving abroad, I am starting to learn what he meant. Now, for me, Florian Balogun, I thought he was going to stay at the club, but a loan deal was ultimately and was always the better option. Because, going out to Reims, a club that, is playing in the first division in the French league. One thing we've seen with him is when he plays with under 23s, when he plays with these, Arsenal academies, he's not getting anything out of there anymore. He's just above the levels. In the Championship, 38 games in a campaign, that would be a lot for me. Not even 38 games, but it's around 46 games in the Championship. That is too much. Again, that is too much. So get him in the French League 1. He will score a couple of goals for them, like probably 7 or 8. Then bring him back, send him to the Championship. After that, he will score around 15 goals in the Championship in 40 games, and then he can be integrated into the Arsenal squad. So again, another right decision by Edu and Mikel Arteta to send Florian Balogun on loan. We'll do a loan watch on Tavares, Balogun, and a couple of other Arsenal players out on loan, but this one is a correct one. Nuno Tavares as well was a correct one. I'm just loving the partnership between Arsenal and French League 1 clubs. Guendouzi to Marseille, Saliba to Marseille, Nice, and Saint Etienne. Then you have the likes of Tavares now at Marseille, Florian Balogun, at Marseille. I just love the partnership. And what I love about the French League 1, I don't watch it all the time, honestly, but it is not a very competitive league. But again, it cannot be undermined. It's a league you cannot undermine. Apart from the crazy stuff done by PSG on top, you look at their league table, they will always have that close, close range. There is not a big difference between the top 4 and then the top 10. There's not a big difference. So there is that kind of favorable competition. It's just like the French, the German Bundesliga. Because with the Bundesliga, if you exclude Bayern, Dortmund, and RB Leipzig, the rest of the clubs are in and about there, trying to fight for 5th, 6th, 7th, and anyone can achieve that spot. So Florian Bellegan in France, doing very well, by the way, has already scored more than 4 goals now. I think it was a very, very correct move. So I'll see you soon. We'll be talking more on the fan forum. So I'll be suggesting who gets on the fan forum this week. But of course, the fan forum will be happening every week. So this week, we're going to have 4 or 5 people on the fan forum, and we'll see more about that. See you soon.